Am I the asshole for not letting my kids ride 4 hours home with their grandmother? Some answers to questions asked. 1. My Mill is a retired school teacher on a very limited fixed income along with my Phil. There's no inheritance or other reason my wife would have wished her ill. They have a great relationship. My wife sprang out of bed the moment the accident happened and was almost detached and clinical at the moment, but was later extremely emotional. Her father had a major stroke last year, and we actually just sold our house Friday in order to move closer to her parents to help take care of them in their old age. 2. That while my wife has been a NICU nurse for a decade, she was a step-down ICU nurse for 8 years. I realize that doesn't strengthen her case regarding her decision, but perhaps it adds context. She really is remarkable with babies and has saved many a life, but I can certainly understand why the circumstances of these events would paint her in a less than beneficial light. 3. In retrospect, I think my wife was in a state of shock. She's never lost anyone, and her dad's stroke is still fresh on her mind. I've lost both parents and 4 siblings plus plenty of friends my time in the service, so I have to look at her through a lens of empathy. I'm a nurse, and I'm frankly appalled at your wife's decision to not take her mother to the ER. A 70-year-old who suffers a fall and sustains head injuries should absolutely be checked out in the ER, whether or not your wife, your mother, or the Easter Bunny believe it isn't necessary. If she absolutely refuses to go, tell her that your children will not be staying with her at her house, as you do not think it is safe. She could be suffering from a concussion or intracranial bleed. Not the asshole. We forget Bob saying it so soon. He hit his head, went back to bed, and didn't wake up in the morning. I'd 100 tell her your children's visit is contingent on going to get checked out before she drives home. Safer for her, safer for your children, safer for everyone else on the road during her 4-HR drive. Hoichi. Not the asshole. Holy hell. I can't believe your wife didn't have your mom checked out at the ER for concussion, and then just sending her mom back to bed. Not the asshole, and your wife is being blindly irresponsible just because it's her mom. I would drive them yourself and make sure your children fully know how to contact you in an emergency should anything happen to Mill whilst they are there. Not the asshole. Better safe than sorry. Not to say your wife isn't a capable nurse, but when was the last time she had a concussed patient? Does she know what to look for? I'm surprised she's willing to gamble with her mother's and children's health lives. Does your wife like her mother? Edit. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your children's safety is your first priority. Too bad it's also not your wife's. She may be a competent nurse in NICU, but her mother isn't a NICU patient. Mill is elderly, and often a small fall can have more severe problems that don't always show up immediately. You aren't being silly, you are the only one being smart. Nurse specializing in geriatric populations here. Not the asshole. Take your Mill to the ER stat. Not the asshole. I question your wife though. At that age, even a minor fall can be quite serious. Mill needs to be seen by someone who isn't family, just to be sure there are no lingering problems. Not the asshole, but your wife is. I'm a nurse, and there is no way I would describe your wife as competent if she didn't insist on her mother going to the ER. In addition, symptoms of concussion can persist for a long time, I know from personal experience. Your mother-in-law should not be driving so soon if she hit her head. I also wouldn't leave my children with her, unless I could see for myself that she had no residual effects a few days later. When I had concussion, it was my driving that was impacted the most. I am a nurse, and would have sent her to the ED for evaluation, cause your wife doesn't have X-ray vision to see into her head. Your wife made the wrong choice as a medical professional. Bruising around and particularly behind her ear could be sign of a fracture at the base of her skull. It's called Battle's sign. She really does need to go to the ER. Right away. In fact, if it were me, I'd call an ambulance. Not the asshole. Absolutely do not allow your children in that car. Mill is an adult and can decide for herself, Though I agree she really should have gone to be checked over. Your kids are your responsibility to keep safe. Not the asshole. You would have been TA if you hadn't. Also, info please by CPAP. Did you mean oxygen through a super long hose? I use a CPAP, and one does not go wandering around with it on. I can certainly be ignorant of the latest technology, but if it was a CPAP, then I also suspect the beginnings of dementia. And for your wife? Bob Saget. Nuff, said. Not the asshole. I'm not in the medical field, but an elderly person falling down the stairs and with head injuries should definitely go to emergency and get checked, in my opinion. She should also be staying a few days to make sure she's okay. Sometimes the pain or symptoms does not appear until a few days. I would definitely insist she stay, and would not allow the kids to stay with her alone for a few days, despite the agreement. What if they're an emergency with your mom? Like they can't wake her up, and the kids are the only people in the house with her. That'll be scary for them. A NICU RN said not to take a 70-year-old woman who fell down the stairs with cranial swelling. And see, I guess. Not the asshole. Bob, who is a NICU RN, told me not to call as her mother had no obviously broken bones, and didn't want to go. Your wife is incompetent and there might be injuries causing brain bleeding. Your wife is just thinking about the cost, not how to ensure Mill's survival, as she's a very competent nurse. As you describe it, she really is not. So she would risk your children's life on the driving of a 70-year-old with a possible concussion, if not worse. I'm sorry, did we all just skate past Mill decided to try to navigate our stairs in the dark while wearing a CPAP? Yeah. I've been wearing one for 25 years when I sleep. It has always stayed in bed and connected when I get up for something, like the bathroom or a drink. A CPAP does nothing for you when you're not in bed. Being out of one's bedroom while wearing a CPAP would immediately make me wonder about dementia or sleepwalking. Not the asshole. I can tell you for a fact that there are many people in the medical profession that are idiots. It would be nice to believe that someone who has made it through the educational requirements to be an RN would be reasonably intelligent and possess a good amount of common sense. Unfortunately, that is not the case for all.